Okay, so your cake should be baking right now, and we're going to work on this icing. This icing is really simple. We basically kind of need to melt everything together, and then when the cake comes out, we'll let it cool down, not very long, like a minute or two at most, and then you'll pour this over the hot cake. And it basically becomes sort of like fudge on the top. It'll harden kind of, well, not crazy hard, but it'll harden on the top. So it's pretty simple, but we're going to walk through it together. The first thing we're going to do is just make sure that everybody has their supplies ready to go, because it does go kind of fast once you do it. Okay, so I'm going to have you, basically what I'm going to have you do is get your supplies set up, and then you can pause the video, and then meet up with me again to do the next part. Okay, so what I have is a clean pot out. I have my confectioner sugar already ready to go. So it is 1 pound of confectioner sugar. Your box, it's possible that it is 1 pound. If it's not, it's about 3.5 cups. A lot of packages of confectioner sugar are sold in 2 pounds, so it would be half of it. To be honest with you, it's not, since we're not actually baking, if you were a little bit over or a little under on it, it would be fine. We really want to get close though. Okay, so that one's going to take a little while to measure. Just wait and you can pause the video in a second. Okay, next thing we need out is cocoa powder. We're going to be using 4 heaping tablespoons again. Milk. We're going to go ahead and measure our milk out. Let me grab mine. Okay, so we need 6 tablespoons of this, and the easiest way to do this is by pouring it into a little cup first and then dipping your tablespoon into the cup. It's very hard to pour. I've got this big gallon of milk. Some recipes have you use buttermilk for this. I don't personally use a buttermilk, but can. All right, 6 tablespoons. You're just going to dip it like this. I'm just pouring it in a measuring cup. Okay, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so you just want that ready to go. If you're using pecans today, they do need to be chopped. That's the very last thing you'll stir in. So I'm not using the pecans, but if you need to do that, get that ready. Okay, so you have a couple of things that you're doing. Make sure you have your powdered sugar ready. You want to make sure you have your milk ready. Just make sure you have your cocoa powder out. Oh, one last thing. Butter. We're using 1 3/4 sticks of butter. What does 1 3/4 stick of butter look like? Well, you're going to do a whole stick. That's 8 tablespoons. And then you're going to take another stick, a second one, and you're going to count out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and cut it right there. The other thing you want to do is go ahead and cut your butter up into smaller pieces. You can go ahead and put it in your pot after it's in smaller pieces. We're going to melt it together with your cocoa powder. So what I would do right now is pause your video and then come back in just a second and resume with me. I'm going to put away the milk. So this is a good spot to pause. So once you have your powdered sugar, your butter in your pot, your milk, and just your cocoa powder out, then come back and join me, okay? Okay, so we're going to do 2 things in our pot. We want to have that 1 3/4 sticks of butter in here, and then we also want 4 heaping tablespoons of cocoa powder. Remember, that's kind of rounded. It's really like what we did with the cake before, only this time we don't want to get it as hot. We're really just trying to melt the butter and the sugar together. I'm sorry, not sugar. Don't melt the sugar yet. The butter and the cocoa powder together, and just so that we can make that sort of like liquidy chocolate syrup that we did before. So it's really all you're trying to do with that step. So you're going to put it on your stove on like a medium low heat. We want to go lower heat this time. So if it goes to like 10, I would do like a 3 and just let that melt together. Depending on how cold your butter is, it's going to depend on how long that takes. So when you finish that step, I'm going to pause the video. I'm going to stop the video. I'm going to do a second video. When you finish that step, come back. You should have your butter and your cocoa powder melted together and stirred until smooth. Keep it over in your stovetop and then start the next video.